And a very good evening to you. I'm Fox 54 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Not a bad Thursday evening across the Tennessee Valley. Radar looks nice and quiet. Now, a couple of isolated showers might develop across the area through the middle and later part of the evening, but otherwise, it does look like we are going to stay dry. If you'd like to go out for dinner this evening, you can certainly do that, and with a fairly high level of confidence that we're probably not going to be talking about any rain, though we are talking about a fair amount of cloud cover live from the look of top of Green Mountain here. Nice, really pretty green trees there, but then we are talking about a mostly cloudy sky at this point. 83 degrees is the air temperature, but the dew point currently sitting in the mid-upper 60s, borderline 70 degrees, right exactly at 69 degrees. So you are definitely going to be able to feel the humidity outside, so bear that in mind if you are going to be spending some time outside this evening. Out over the Parkway, we're looking southbound on Memorial Parkway this evening. Again, a mostly cloudy to an overcast sky. At this point, we have lost any of the sunshine. Maybe we get a little bit of it back as we head into your Friday, but for the most part, the cloud cover is here to stay at least through the weekend. And then another look for you out over into Cobb County this evening. Much the same. It's difficult to find much in the way of any sort of sunshine, even for our friends over in northeast Alabama. They're also talking about the mostly cloudy or the overcast sky. Now, things as far as the forecast is concerned are really going to begin to change as we head into Friday night and then early into Saturday morning. A robust line of showers and thunderstorms is going to begin to develop back off to the northwest. This robust line of showers and thunderstorms is going to drop to the southeast as we head into the overnight and then through the earliest hours of your Saturday morning. There is a chance for some strong or severe thunderstorms thrown into the mix here as well. With that in mind, the Storm Prediction Center has placed much of North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee under a slight risk for severe weather. This would involve Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties, Lawrence County, most of Morgan County, Limestone and Madison counties, and then parts of Jackson County in North Alabama. And this includes all of Giles and Lincoln counties up across southern Middle Tennessee. And then a marginal risk for severe weather across most of Jackson County, DeKalb County, a chunk of Marshall County, most of Marshall County at this point, most of Morgan County, and then all of Coleman County. Now, yes, while we are talking about the slight risk and then the marginal risk, understand that there is a threat for severe weather across all of North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee, but it does look like the threat for severe weather is going to be lower across northeast Alabama because as that line of showers and thunderstorms moves through the Tennessee Valley, it does look like there is going to be a general weakening trend. As we head into Friday night, it looks like the biggest concern across the Tennessee Valley definitely going to be the threat for some gusty, damaging winds, wind gusts in excess of 60 or 70 miles per hour. Our secondary concern is going to be the threat for a couple of isolated tornadoes. There's going to be a lot of wind shear present in our atmosphere, so a lot of natural spin in the atmosphere as you go up in altitude. Wind shear measures a change in wind speed and wind direction as you go up in altitude, and there's going to be a lot of that present. So a couple of isolated tornadoes are going to be possible, and then some hail is also going to be possible, and then where the heaviest rain bands can establish themselves, I also think we're going to be talking about the chance for a little bit of flash flooding. So if we get the timing a little more specific, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., that's going to be our Fox 54 Weather Impact Alert Day, Friday night, early into Saturday morning. Stronger severe thunderstorms, that's obviously going to be the biggest concern. Always have your Fox 54 app downloaded so you can get the latest forecast, and then, of course, have your severe weather plan, which at this point in the severe weather season, you should be very familiar with your severe weather plan. But it's always a good idea just to kind of rehash it. Maybe that's something you could do tomorrow afternoon, or even as we head into the early part of the evening, just rehash your severe weather plan. I can promise you we're almost done with our spring severe weather season. Now, for the onset of severe weather, 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. across northwest Alabama, Lauderdale, Colbert, down into Franklin County, Giles County, up across southern Middle Tennessee. But I think we're going to be leaning more towards the 9-10 p.m. before we even get any activity across northwest Alabama. And again, across northwest Alabama, the threat for severe weather definitely going to be the greatest. 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. across the I-65 corridor, heading into 565 through much of Madison County. This, of course, includes the Huntsville metro area, Athens, Decatur, and Moulton. And then 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. across northeast Alabama, Jackson, DeKalb, and Marshall counties. Now, if there was a part of this forecast that I am least confident about, it would probably be the timing. So I would anticipate that the timing is probably going to change. If not tonight, then maybe even as we head into tomorrow, as we head into Friday. Now, meteorologist Emily Owen will be here through the afternoon tomorrow, so she'll be able to provide you with some updates, and I'm sure she definitely will. Here's what Futurecast looks like as we head into the lunch hour on Friday. The vast majority of us are dry. As a matter of fact, most of Friday afternoon is going to be dry, talking about a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky, but Friday afternoon is actually going to be rather uneventful. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible, sure, but most of us are going to be dry. And then Futurecast does a really good job at bringing those isolated showers into the Tennessee Valley through the early part of the evening. The earliest hours of your Saturday morning, 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, that's when we're going to begin to see that robust line of showers and thunderstorms drop into first northwest Alabama and our friends up across southern and middle Tennessee. Embedded within this line of showers and thunderstorms, going to be that threat for some gusty winds, some large hail, and again, a couple of isolated tornadoes certainly can't be ruled out. This is going to be a somewhat fast-moving system. 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, we're sitting across the 565 corridor. Really, we're sitting points north of the Tennessee River. And then a couple of hours later, this activity really going to be out of the Tennessee Valley. 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, still dealing with a little bit of rain across northeast Alabama, Jackson, DeKalb, and Marshall counties, Morgan County, down into Coleman County. But the overall threat for severe weather is going to have come to an end. Then we bring things through the rest of Saturday afternoon, trying to get rid of some of that cloud cover, and Futurecast does a really good job at that. But I also think we're going to hold on to the opportunity for a little bit of rain, maybe as we specifically head into the later part of Saturday evening and then through the overnight. Like I said, we're almost done with our spring severe weather season. It is typically March, April, and then May, and typically the front half of May. Now, we are exactly at mid-May. Today is, of course, May 15th. So things should really begin to quiet down here over the next couple of weeks, and then especially as we head into the summer months, June, July, and August. And then, of course, we do have our secondary severe weather season across the Tennessee Valley. That'll be with us through the month of November. High temperatures this afternoon. Temperatures climbed into the mid and upper 80s. This afternoon, well above where we should be this time of year. Had a high temperature of 88 degrees in Athens, 88 today in Decatur, and then we saw 87. That was the high temperature this afternoon at the Huntsville International Airport. Have a good look at current temperatures across the Tennessee Valley. Most of us are currently sitting in the mid-80s, 85 degrees right now in Huntsville, sitting at 84 in Athens, 82 right now over in Fort Payne, sitting in the lower 80s. Pulaski and Fayetteville up across southern middle Tennessee, both sitting at 83 degrees. Through the rest of the evening, definitely going to maintain that warmth across the Tennessee Valley, 83 at 7, 81 by 8, 78 degrees. By the time we get to 9 o'clock, again, an isolated shower can't be ruled out, but it does look like the vast majority of us are going to be dry. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if a little bit of patchy fog develops across the Tennessee Valley tonight, very similar to what we've seen over the last couple of nights. Temperatures dropping into the lower 70s. I've got a low temperature right around 71 degrees. And then 75 at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, 77 at 9, 79 degrees by the time we get to 10 a.m. So definitely going to be on the warmer end of the spectrum for the kids when they get on the school bus tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, storms, of course, are going to develop late. Otherwise, it is going to be warm tomorrow. I've got a high temperature right around 87 degrees. Of course, you can always follow me on social media, Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. That's my Facebook. One day I'm going to change the logo for Twitter/X, but that's my Twitter handle. The handle works just the same if you type it into the search bar, I promise. And then, of course, that's my Instagram. I don't post a lot of weather-related things on my Instagram, so if you're just curious about what goes on through the rest of my life, I guess you could go give my Instagram a follow. Now, I walked off a couple of seconds ago because I wrote the answer to today's question down because I had to look this up because I don't, believe it or not, I don't just know these things off the top of my head. And so I wrote this down in my phone. So I've got the answer to today's question. And it's a good one because, again, I didn't actually know the answer to this question. So it is actually two different events, and this is why I knew I was never going to remember this. Where in the U.S. is the strongest tornado ever recorded? This is the question of the day. If you've missed the question of the day over the last several days, I asked on Facebook a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, for folks to ask me weather-related or non-weather-related questions, and I've had a good mix of both. I took all of the questions, plugged them into ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT tells me which question to answer on which day. And today, I like this question. Where in the U.S. is the strongest tornado ever recorded? Now, it's actually kind of a two-part answer. It kind of depends on how you want to look at it. The strongest tornado by wind speed, and that's how we measure tornadoes, by wind speed and the amount of damage they do, was May 3rd, 1999. That was in Moore, Oklahoma. It had maximum peak winds of 302 miles per hour. Now, you could look at that a different way, and we could answer this question in a different way. And by the way, 302 mile per hour winds, I believe those are the strongest winds ever recorded on the face of the earth. Don't quote me on that. Now, you could talk about and look at this from another perspective and the amount of damage done and the amount of people that were impacted. That would be the Tri-State tornado of 1925. It was the deadliest U.S. tornado. It had almost 700 people pass away. So you could look at this from two different perspectives. You could look at this from purely a wind thing, and that would be an event in Moore, Oklahoma in 1999, or you could go back to the tri-state tornado in the early 1920s and look at the greatest human impact, where again, almost 700 people lost their lives. You can also text me your question. Number's right there on your screen, 256-382-2692. Have a good look at the next 7 days. 87 on Friday, 87 Saturday, 83 on Sunday. Scattered showers and thunderstorms outside of the Fox 54 weather impact alert day. And then scattered showers and thunderstorms stay in the forecast through much of next week. Tuesday really going to be the only dry day, which is good because in my personal life, I have some outdoor things that need done desperately on Tuesday. 85 on Monday, 87 on Tuesday. We stick with the 80s next Wednesday, but back into the 70s by the time we get to next Thursday. Yeah, I just have to flip shows. It'll take me literally 30 seconds. If it is, I don't pay attention. So if